Plate number 3. Fossils. You've probably heard the term fossils before. Probably as the fossil fuels. Oil and gas were formed hundreds of millions of years ago from the decaying remains of plants and animals. Sometimes, however, such an ancient creature remains, or at least traces of it. These are called fossils. Fossils can be the fossilized remains of an organism, or traces such as footprints or nests. Fossils are only remains or traces that are from before our current geological era. We now live in what is known as the post-glacial period, the Holocene. It began over 11,000 years ago and replaced a much colder era. The preserved remains of living creatures provide an exciting glimpse into the past. Paleontology is the science that uses fossils to study the origin and distribution of ancient plants and animals. For a fossil to form, the living organism must not have decayed. Shortly after death, it must be covered with crumbs of rock called sediment. This gradually embeds the organism in the ground, like a cherry in a cake. In addition, the nascent fossil must be permanently frozen or placed in an oxygen-poor environment. All of these conditions prevent rotting, decay or damage from feeding, and promote fossilization. Fossilization is a process and can be better or worse depending on the sediment. Fossils are better preserved and more detailed in fine-grained sediments than in coarse-grained sediments. Imagine fine and coarse sand trickling over your hand. The fine sand gets into the tiniest corners and traces the contours of your hand much more accurately. Fossilization is also influenced by the pressure and temperature of the sediment, as well as the geochemical properties of the environment. Sediments that contain a lot of calcite, dolomite, quartz, apatite or pyrite are particularly suitable. However, resin that is gradually fossilized can also be excellent for enclosing and hardening a small living creature. Such resin is called amber. Then as now, resin came from the trees. You have probably smelled it or touched a pine, spruce or oak trunk and could hardly get the resin off your hands. Imagine a thick drop of resin falling onto a small insect, trapping it and hardening. So we have now identified the conditions for fossilization. What is missing is the creature itself that is to become a fossil. Plant or animal shells, snail shells or crab shells have a good chance of becoming fossils. On the other hand, soft parts or animals such as worms, jellyfish or fruit are unsuitable. They decay too quickly. Compare an apple with a coconut that has been lying around for months. Or think of the shells you find on the beach. They are just the shells, the soft inside has been eaten or dried out. Fossils that have been petrified and preserved in their original form are called true fossils. These are, for example, bones or fossilized animal or plant remains. A false fossil is one that has only been imprinted. The original material has been dissolved by weathering and decay. Like a foot in soft concrete, an imprint remains, a negative. Sometimes this imprint is refilled with minerals that gradually harden, i.e. crystallize. This is called the stone core. The stone core has the shape of the original creature, skeleton or body part, so it is a positive. Whether you find a positive or a negative, you learn something about what the creature once looked like. It's like a bundt cake mold. It would be the negative. The cake would be the positive. The cake tin tells you what the cake would look like. In the Paleozoic era, the animal kingdom consisted mainly of invertebrates with a solid outer layer, similar to a shell. These animals included trilobites. They were small marine organisms. It is mainly the shells of trilobite fossils that have been preserved. The shells are made from chitin. This is a very tough material that modern insects and crustaceans also produce and build around their bodies. Now let's reenact the whole journey from living animal to fossil. An old trilobite swims into the sea and dies. It sinks to the bottom of the sea. There, its soft organs are gradually decomposed by even smaller creatures. The rest of the trilobite's body is slowly covered by sedimentary material, such as sand or clay. Layer by layer, the trilobite disappears under a growing mountain of sediment. The trilobite's exoskeleton also gradually becomes porous as it decomposes. However, the decomposition process is so slow that the resulting gaps close again. Minerals on the sea floor partially replace the original shell material. Over millions of years the fossil is mineralized and becomes solid rock, usually sandstone. The fossil is well hidden under a high mountain of sediment. Due to turbulence on the seabed, earthquakes, or slow erosion, this mountain dissolves back into the murky water. All that remains is for a diver to come along, discover the fossil and retrieve it. This is why most fossils found are of marine organisms. There is little oxygen underwater, but it is cold and the sand on the seabed is fine-grained. These are perfect conditions. Sometimes volcanoes can also help create fossils. If they spew out large amounts of ash during an eruption, burying a surprised animal in the process, the conditions are favorable. Once fossils are formed, they can be lost. To be preserved for millions of years, conditions must be favorable, such as in some caves. There, water flows and carries tiny particles of clay with it. The particles settle and cover the remains of dead organisms. In the cold cave, no wind can disturb them, nothing slips, is attacked, or eaten away. Fossils can also be preserved in ice and permanently frozen ground. Paleontologists have found small fossils, but also fossils of whole dinosaurs or mammoths, and prepared them for us. We can admire them in museums. Mammoths were huge tusked herbivores. Most mammoths died out over 11,000 years ago as the climate warmed. Living conditions remained tolerable for much longer on an island in the Arctic Ocean. Here, the very last representatives, the dwarf mammoths, became extinct only 4,000 years ago. The formation of a fossil is an extraordinary phenomenon. Very rarely do all the necessary circumstances come together. The fact that a fossil is found is at least as extraordinary. Even if a fossil is later reduced to crumbs, valuable information can still be extracted from it. Methods for isolating and analyzing DNA, or genetic material, are now so good that they can even work on ancient material. So if a fossil animal still has a tiny piece of its body, or a fern print still contains plant remains, it is like a profile. The DNA can be used to determine exactly what creature it was, who it was related to, and how its closest relatives today have changed in the meantime.